What's going on, guys? Welcome to a new series of episode reviews. This is going to be for the new Rurouni Kenshin anime, and with me, as always, I have Blue Spade.
Yeah. Um, it's been like how many years since the original series is back in
Like the
'98
'90s.
since yeah, back in the late '90s since they released this, and then it came to a bit of a surprise to me that they're actually making a new TV series based on Rurouni Kenshin. I mean, there's also like some of the OVAs that was released, some of it during the mid 2000s, but some of them were a little like were kind of readaptations of the original series, and some were non-canon to the original show. Then there were
Mm-hmm.
also the live action films that were released. I think over the past decade. I think there was a total of 5 live action films. Personally, I think it was one of the better live action films adapting an anime series, just due to like
Yeah.
it was somewhat faithful to you know to the series, but also like the fact that it goes for like almost the classic like live action samurai series that that they would make back in the day. So it was enjoyable, watching the live action series.
Mm.
So the second TV series, like, I would assume like this is more for people who haven't watched the original series, and my guess is they're trying to make a more faithful adaptation to this series compared to the original ones they released back in the '90s.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping. But unfortunately, it's hard to say because I've only seen the beginning of the original series and I never read the manga. And I've also watched all the live action movies. So I'm just kind of basing my information off of that. So if I make any comparisons, it's just based off that. Um, so, but yeah, it would be cool if they are trying to like adapt the whole manga. Because as far as we know, like this season is going to be like 24 episodes, and I'm hoping they'll if that's what the plan is, that they're planning to do it over like multiple seasons or something like that. Um, my greatest fear in this regard would be like if they tried to do like the whole thing in one season, like all 24 episodes, if they like rush the plot. So I hope that doesn't happen, but yeah, like hopefully it's just gonna be like the whole series adapted over multiple seasons.
Yeah, there's at least 3 major story arcs. So
Yeah.
for this one, I wasn't really expecting all that much from this first episode. It basically did what it needed to do, introducing Kenshin. The overall storyline in this episode is the exact same as back in the original series, and of course, the somewhat from the live action film as well. Of course, you're not going to get Kenshin's full backstory in this. They're obviously aiming to explore that in later episodes. So all we get to know is that Kenshin used to be this former assassin called Himura Batosai, in which back before the Meiji era, he was like a hired assassin going up, uh, like just basically just like a hired killer, killing assassinating targets. And then we get to see the Shinsen Gumi um, going up after him, but we don't really get to see the fight unfold before the end of this prologue. So
Yeah.
the episode begins 10 years after the beginning of the Meiji era, and we see Kenshin just walking around town, and then he immediately gets stopped by what was it, Kamiya Kaoru, who is the head of the Kamiya Kashin Ryu dojo, who just tries to apprehend Kenshin due to his reputation as the Batosai. Of course, like she tries to attack him, but Kenshin just dodges and feigns ignorance over his past, and basically he easily gets. Uh, I guess I don't know if he like intentionally gives up. I think it's sort of more or less he did, and then he shows off like his reverse blade katana, which is of course his sharper end is at the the opposite end of his katana, which is unable to wound a person if he's you know if he's aiming with a blunt area.
Hmm.
So yeah, so of course, what happens afterwards? They run into this man claiming to be the Batosai, and also claiming that he studied under Kaoru's dojo, which is the Kamiya Kashin. And of course, he causes basically just killing and causing riots in the city. Um, for what purpose, we don't know as of right now. But Kaoru, of course, wanted to go after this person because this person's giving a bad name to her dojo. So um, and of course, Kaoru is of course assisted by another man named Kihi, who's of course an assistant to her. And pretty much the episode plays out like normally with Kenshin just going about his day, but of course, Kaoru and Kenshin, of course, run into each other like a couple more times, and then the end of the episode reveals that Kaoru's assistant Kihi is, of course, responsible for this fake Batosai incident, and reveals that that this guy is also the older brother of the fake Batosai.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I do like how this episode just pretty much introduces. It gives us a general idea of who Kenshin is as a character, and also about Kaoru and how her like her father's ambitions and what the dojo represents, and what her ambitions are to like kind of like or teaching teaching people a different way to use the blade or something like that. Um, but yeah, I mean, it was like a lot of it was like kind of self-contained in the episode, but I think it did a good job at just kind of introducing all the characters, um, but and just showing that like kind of the two sides of Kenshin, about how he kind of comes off like he's this friendly person, and he's maybe sort of goofy and somewhat incompetent, but then you find out that's kind of just sort of like a front he puts on, because he's actually not like that at all. And of course we know that just from the brief scene we see at the beginning of the episode, that he's actually fairly capable, of course. And we see that of course a few times in the episode.
Yeah, and of course, by the end of the episode, Kenshin just easily dispatches all the thugs that are attacking Kaoru's dojo, especially like the fake
Mm.
Batosai. Just basically just taking him down on one strike, and scaring Kihi like to near death, where he just literally pisses himself.
Yeah. um yeah, and I mean that's more or less the episode. Like, well, of course, like Kenshin tries to leave, and saying like he shouldn't hang around because of his reputation as Batosai. But Kaoru stops him and says that, like, ask him what his real name is, and he of course reveals that it's Kenshin Himura, and also reveals that he had fought in the what was it, in the war, and like she says something like how that happened, like some like over 30 years ago, so like
Yeah.
it should be over 30 or something like that. But and that's more or less I think where it ends. We just kind of and I thought it was, like I said, I thought it was a pretty good episode. It just kind of introduces the characters, and I think it's good that it's for newcomers, because I wouldn't want them to come back with Kenshin and just have it be for like hardcore fans or something, and they don't really tell you anything. And I kind of like that they're sort of introducing it more so to like a new generation of people who might not have seen the original series, or might not know much about Rurouni Kenshin, and especially if they're planning to adapt the whole thing, as opposed to the original series.
Yeah, I mean, I would hate for them to. I'm not really sure if 24 episodes is enough to adapt the entire series. I think,
I would hope not, yeah, because I feel like it'd
yeah,
be really rushed if they did it that way.
because the amount of content that's in that was from the original manga, it needs to be at least one more season in order to adapt everything.
Yeah. Um. Also, yeah, how do you feel about the openings and endings?
I thought it was pretty decent in a way, just just showcasing
Yeah.
Kenshin on and all of the other original characters, especially Kaoru. There was also like the other characters. What was it Sagura, and of course, what was it? Yeah, I can't remember his name. It's been a while since
Yeah.
I've watched this show, but yeah, I remember a majority of these characters, and how their pretty much how their story begins and ends. In the manga. So
Yeah.
Hopefully, like I said, it's like I'm hoping that this is a more faithful adaptation to the original manga. And I mean
Mm.
the anime was still good back during the 90s, but of course I could tell like some of the material kind of deviated a bit from time to time, and they kind of like one of the OVAs gave like a non-canon ending to the characters, which not a lot of people enjoyed at the time. So hopefully they give a more uh, conclusive ending to these characters.
Yeah, I think I might know what you're talking about, but yeah, I like both the opening and ending equally. I thought they were pretty good. I also like the updated art style and animation. This is being done by I think a studio Leiden Films, and they also worked on Bastard and some other series. They're kind of a lesser known studio, but I've usually been impressed with most things they've done. They're not gonna be like have some like really super high production values like say for example like Mappa or some
Mm.
other studios, but they're still like really good for what they're able to do, I guess. Because I mean, of course, as we see in this episode, like um the fight scenes are fine. They're not anything outstanding or anything like that, but I didn't really go in expecting some kind of some really well animated fight scenes or anything like that. I think they're serviceable for what they are.
Yeah, I mean it was yeah, like I said, it's the episode is all right for the way it is.
Yeah.
Basically just introducing us to Kenshin. I wasn't expecting anything new in particular. Like I said, this episode's mainly made for newcomers. They want to introduce this to a brand new fan base. Considering that the old one was back during the late 90s. So if they were to like do a continuation or just start off somewhere, it would be confusing. So I'm glad that they're starting over from scratch.
Yeah. Yeah, guys, but I don't really have too much else to say about the episode. I don't know if you have anything else to say about it.
And like I said, it's good introductions. Hopefully, it'll remain more faithful to the manga series. So yeah, we'll see where it goes from there. Hopefully by the
Yeah.
next several weeks.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So that all being said, we will see you all next time.